5 elderly friends had just finished their vacation and were on their way to the airport, but an accident left them stranded deep in the mountains. Their car was completely wrecked. Luckily, no one was seriously hurt. With the steep terrain and heavy rain making things worse, they decided to follow a small trail in search of shelter. Before long, they came across a village, but strangely, the entire place looked abandoned. The only occupied building was a large mansion near the entrance of the village. When they went to ask for help, the owner of the house clearly didn't want to take them in at first, but after noticing that someone was injured, he reluctantly let them inside, and that turned out to be the worst decision he had ever made. The man's name was Pete. He was the only person left living in the village. As for why, Pete refused to explain. After Pete left the room, Susan started looking around the house. From the old photos hanging on the walls, she realized the place used to be a hotel. Matt also noticed something strange in an old guest registry book. The last check-in entry was from 40 years ago. Even creepier, the phone lines at the front desk had been cut. Faced with all these strange clues, they simply assumed Pete had gone bankrupt and abandoned the business. But the truth was far more disturbing. Soon after, Jill made another unsettling discovery while using the bathroom. She could hear someone calling for help from inside the pipes. Pete had already told them he lived alone, so who was screaming for help? Jill quickly grabbed her boyfriend Matt, and together they went looking for the source of the voice. When Pete returned and realized 2 people were missing, he immediately sensed something was wrong. Afraid that his secret had been discovered, he hurried to the basement entrance. He pulled open the trapdoor in the floor and stared down into the darkness for a long moment. When it didn't seem like anyone had gone inside, he finally relaxed a little. What he didn't know was that Jill and Matt had already heard his footsteps and hidden themselves before he arrived. The 2 eventually made their way into the basement. In one corner, they found a large locked crate. It didn't take much to guess that the person crying for help was trapped inside. Jill raised her flashlight and carefully peeked through the narrow gap. The moment she realized the prisoner was just a young girl, her fear slowly turned into sympathy. The girl said her name was Anna. She claimed Pete had kept her imprisoned there for years. Hearing that, their first instinct as ordinary people was obviously to rescue her. But just as they were about to break the lock, Pete suddenly appeared behind them holding a shotgun. He looked completely panicked. His voice was almost hysterical. He begged them not to open the door. Otherwise, he warned, the consequences would be unimaginable. Jill called him a sick monster. She couldn't believe he would imprison an innocent girl. Pete tried to explain himself, but before he could finish, someone struck him from behind and knocked him unconscious. Jack had no idea what was happening. All he saw was Pete pointing a gun at his daughter. Driven by instinct to protect her, he attacked without hesitation. But when he learned there was supposedly a girl being held captive, he was completely shocked.